Print It by Ellen L. Moore. A daily newspaper. Where can you go to find out what is happening in your town? Where can you find news from around the world, sports scores, and movie reviews? You can find all of these and the comics, too, in the newspaper. Every edition of a newspaper is filled with information. It takes a lot of work to publish a daily paper. Stories need to be written and edited. Pages need to be laid out. And it all has to be done by a deadline at the end of the day. Putting a newspaper together needs a large team of people. Most newspapers are delivered in the morning. The newsroom is called the heart of the paper. Getting the story. The newsroom is the center of a newspaper office. It's where the reporters and editors work. A reporter's job is to write the news stories. Most reporters have a beat. A beat is the subject or area that they cover. One reporter might write about schools. Another reporter might cover sports. Some reporters cover medicine or politics. Every morning, reporters find out what is happening on their beat. No day in the newsroom is uneventful. For example, the school reporter might learn there is going to be a town meeting about building a new school. He or she will want to write a story about that. Reporters take careful notes when they are reporting a story. The first thing the reporter does is to gather the facts. He starts by asking a lot of questions. Who wants to build the new school? Why do they want to build it? Where will they build the school? The reporter talks to many different people to find the answers to these questions. He will ask them for their insights. The reporter will use all of this information in the story. The 5 W's. One formula that reporters use to write news stories is called the 5 W's. These are the 5 questions a good news story should answer for a reader. Who? What? Where? When? Why? Sometimes a reporter will have to rush out to cover a breaking news story. Breaking news is usually a big, unexpected event. It could be a blackout or the destruction of a building because of a fire. People will want to find out what happened in the paper the next day. The reporter must gather all the facts very quickly. She won't have much time to write the story. Reporters write about important events as they happen. A photographer may take 20 photos of an event, but only one will be used in the paper. During the day, news photographers are also at work. Most newspapers have several photographers. A publication will send photographers out to cover many different events. In the morning, a photographer might take photos of the mayor giving a speech. In the afternoon, he might take photos at a high school baseball game. If there is a breaking news story, a photographer will be sent there too. Editing the story. After the reporters write their stories, they turn them in to an editor. Editors do many different jobs at a paper. One part of an editor's job is to read each story carefully. Is the story clear? Does the reader need more background information? Are the facts correct? These are the questions an editor asks. Editors also write headlines for each story. Headlines are short, only 5 or 6 words, but they need to tell a reader what the story is about. Just like the reporter, the editor is required to work quickly. Editors must also meet deadlines. Sometimes an editor and reporter will work on a story together. Online newspapers are updated and changed all day long. Most newspapers also have an online edition. Some editors work on the paper's website. The online editor posts stories all day long. A newspaper's website is a way for readers to get information fast. If there is a breaking news story, the online editor quickly posts the news on the website. The editor can also post updates on a big story during the day. Putting it all together. Late in the afternoon, the editors begin to put the paper together. Editors work with designers to lay out each page of the paper. They decide where each story should go. They decide how long each story will be. Editors also pick the photographs. One of the most important things editors do is to pick the stories that go on the front page. The biggest news stories are always on the front page of the paper. Reading the front page. 1. The biggest news stories are at the top of the page. 2. The headline gives a reader an overview of the story. 3. The date line tells where the story is from. 4. The first sentence is the lead. It should grab the reader's attention. It should also include the main idea of the story. Laying out the pages of a newspaper was much harder before there were computers. The designers use computers to lay out the page. When a page is done, it is read again. Editors make sure there are no spelling errors or any other mistakes. Of course, if there is a big news story, the editors will have to make room for the story. Another story will need to be cut, but all of the page must still be ready to go to the printer that same night. Ready for press. Once the pages are done, the paper is ready to be printed. When everything on the page is final, a special type of photograph is taken of the page. The photo is placed on a large metal plate. These plates are fed into the printing press. One newspaper page is on each plate. Most printing presses are 2 stories tall. A newspaper printing press is huge. It is more than 60 feet high and 200 feet long. Giant rolls of paper are fed into the press. As the paper rolls through the press, the type is printed on the paper. The printing press also trims the paper, puts the pages in order, and folds them. A printing press can print, assemble, and fold about 70,000 copies in an hour. Then stacks of newspapers are bundled together, ready for delivery. Very early the next morning, before the sun is up, bundles of newspapers are loaded onto trucks. Some newspapers are dropped off at stores and newsstands. As people make their way to work, many stop and get the newspaper to find out what is going on in the world and in their town. Some newspapers are delivered straight to people's homes. Everyone in the household can read the morning paper. Some families read the paper together and discuss the news stories. Some of the articles will prompt people to write a letter to the editor, sharing their opinion on the news. Back inside the newsroom, the reporters and editors are already at work on the next day's paper. They are getting stories ready for tomorrow. Whatever happened today will then become tomorrow's news. Do you think you would like a career working on a newspaper? Newspapers then and now. Newspapers have been around for a long time. They've always had reporters, editors, and people to operate the press. But the tools they use today are very different from the tools they used long ago. Writing and editing. 50 years ago. Used a typewriter. Reporters sometimes called the newsroom and dictated stories to a typist. Today, uses a laptop computer, can send a story to the newsroom from almost anywhere. Photography, developed the film and made prints of photos. Uses digital cameras to send photos instantly to the newsroom. Layout and design, used a machine called a linotype machine to set the type. Uses computer programs to lay out pages. Responding. Target vocabulary. Word builder. What do you want to be when you grow up? Think of a career that you might like. Make a word web around the word career. List careers you might like to try. Copy this web and add more words. Write about it. Text to self. Write about a career you'd like to try. Tell why you'd like that career, what a person does in that career, and why you think it is a good career. Now tell which job on a newspaper you would like. Use words from the word web in your writing. Target vocabulary. Background. Career. Destruction, addition, formula, household, insights, publication, required, uneventful. Target strategy, analyze, evaluate. Think carefully about the text and form an opinion about it. Word teaser. A wrestler might use this move at home.